Hi, welcome back. This is chapter 10 of Head, Hands, and Feet by Robert Street, and the title of the chapter is Follow Me Again. So it's a post-resurrection study. There was a special message for Peter when the resurrection of Jesus was announced. It was given to the woman who had come to the tomb expecting to anoint the body. No one else was singled out, although all the disciples were included in the message, which was that Jesus would meet them at Galilee, just as he had previously told them. The last mention of Peter in the Gospels before the resurrection is of him weeping bitterly when Jesus turned and looked at him, seconds after Peter had denied ever knowing him. Left like that, it would be an unhappy and tragic ending. The picture of Jesus looking him in the eye must have been impossible to get out of Peter's head. But now there was hope with this message. There you will see him. That haunting look from Jesus needn't be the last. The gospel records various resurrection appearances of Jesus prior to the meeting in Galilee, but there is no reference to any like the one-to-one Peter was to have with the Lord. He had abandoned and denied so shamefully. This meeting was necessary. There were things that needed to be said, acknowledged, healed, and promised again. The first thing to note is that Jesus called Peter by his pre-disciple name, Simon, son of John. He was taking him back to the beginning. He also asked the most fundamental of questions. Peter had frequently heard Jesus emphasize that the greatest commandment was to love God. Now he asked Peter directly, "Do you love me?" Peter was sure Jesus knew this already. 3 times he was asked, 3 times he affirmed his love. Peter was hurt at the repeated questioning. In an effort to end the matter, Peter pleaded, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." If that was true, and it was, then Peter's love wasn't in question. What about his resolve, his reliability, his commitment? Before asking Peter again to follow him, Jesus informed him that the opportunity to keep the brave and bold promises that he had made before the crucifixion were still there. In tender, open, challenging moments, Jesus signified to Peter that if he accepted the new call, he would endure a martyr's death. His hands would be stretched out and his feet led to where he didn't want to go. We can only try to imagine how Peter felt on hearing this. The news was immediately followed by "Follow me." The book of the Acts of the Apostles shows that Peter accepted the challenge with great courage, but his initial reaction was to ask if John would suffer a similar fate. Jesus' reply was, in effect, to tell Peter that everyone's discipleship is different. No 2 paths are the same. The call is to follow without knowing in advance the challenges, the blessings, or the consequences. It is not to compare our own path or challenges with those of someone else. In the end, Peter's meeting with Jesus brought healing and fresh resolve, not so much because God required them, but for Peter's own peace of mind and his wholeness. At last, Peter knew he truly belonged to his Lord, not just head, hands, and feet, but heart and soul as well. Scripture readings: John 21, 15-23, John 21, 1-14, and Mark 16, 1-7. Discussion questions. After the resurrection, everything changed for Peter. There was even an invitation for him to meet Jesus in Galilee. Note how keen Peter was to meet Jesus to put things right. We too can be reconciled to God whenever we stray. How keen are we to take that opportunity? In their meeting, Jesus gave Peter his pre-discipleship name and asked 3 times if he truly loved him, as many times as Peter had denied him. This then was a fresh calling, not to be cluttered with the mistakes of the past. How would this have helped Peter? Peter pledged love for Jesus, but had previously shown lack of resilience. Compare the difference between love and resilience. Jesus wanted to ensure Peter understood the cost of discipleship before saying, "Follow me." Peter took time to think through his reply by first asking a question. He didn't give an impulsive promise. How would you describe the cost of your discipleship? Peter seemed to imply that if he was to die a martyr's death, then so should John. Why is it a mistake to compare our discipleship with that of someone else? Peter had earlier promised and failed to physically die with Jesus. In time, he would die for Jesus. At Caesarea Philippi, Jesus was not talking about physical death when he told his disciples that whoever loses his life for me and for the gospel will save it. What do you think he meant? Throughout their relationship, Jesus shows that his concern is for Peter's wholeness rather than being centered on his own importance. It is the same with us. How well do you understand this and live by it? Howard Davies writes the verse that is to be used in reflection and prayer. Lord, you know that we love you. Help that love to be true. Fill our lives with your Spirit's power. Lord of love, make us strong, we who to Christ belong. God bless.